Oyova's basic platform, you guys do a lot of different things.
A huge bulk of our work used to come from working with agencies. We would be white label, they would be strategic partners. Find an industry that you're really good at, you have at least 2 clients in, and if you can tell a compelling story of what you did for them, I mean, you're off to the races.
Tell me about what AI has done for you guys.
First off, it's helped me not say stupid things in emails, because now I can, say like, hey, how's this coming off, right? But on a coding side, using Copilot and a lot of these other features in Claude, so it's helped the team really create some efficiencies there and do some code checks and speed up those processes.
Hello and welcome back to the Interior Public Podcast. My name's Mary Diaz. I'm so happy to have you here today. Today I am joined by Jon Tsourakis. He is the president, CRO, and co-founder of Oyova. Hi, Jon. So happy to have you here with us. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, tell us about Oyova and what your agency is all about.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Mary. So yeah, Oyova is it's a digital marketing agency and technology firm. So instead of just having one side of the house, we pulled 2 together, marketing and technology, and we believe that's a strategic advantage. So essentially, anything that needs to be done in the digital landscape, building out somebody's online profile to creating integrations, developing a website or an application, or any of the myriad things that are in the nuances between there, we are able to execute all in-house.
That's lovely. So tell me about your day-to-day as the co-founder and the president. What does your day look like? How do you fill your time? What are you really engaged in these days?
Well, between smoking packs of cigarettes and drinking scotch. The day-to-day... Yeah, absolutely. Taking it back. Little positive nostalgia, or negative, I guess, depending on, your family's addictions. The day-to-day is more about spotting opportunities, right? So that's the main function of what I do. And it's making sure that we are taking care of our referral partners. We have a really gnarly referral program. And then also looking for new opportunities. So that's new strategic partnerships, as well as making sure that we're managing our lead flow properly. To be frank, the last quarter was probably one of the toughest quarters we've had, but we made it, which is just an awesome feeling. And it all came together in like the last week, where like you're looking at the numbers, you're like, oh, this isn't going to be good. This is not going to be a good quarter. We're going to be in the black, or be in the red rather. But like in the last 2 days of the quarter, everything came in and we were well above. So
that's exciting.
It is exciting. It makes it interesting. Yeah, it was brutal, but it all comes together, and it comes down to having a really good team and blessed to have really good clients.
What do you think it was about this last quarter that was particularly difficult?
The economy sucks. So number one.
That's one thing.
Number 2, AI is encroaching in all of these different areas. Mm-hmm. So it's taking out the lower market of projects and work that companies would be doing. And then we have a super saturated space. So that tightening of the economy makes it really difficult. So people are willing to go above and beyond and do things that aren't profitable just to keep their teams busy. And you also have layoffs. So layoffs are other people hanging their shingle, getting into it and saying, hey, my brother-in-law, he's looking for some work. Can you throw it his way? So you have all these like little things that are pecking, and you have just extended sales cycles too, because that's affecting your clients and their work. And it's just a compounding effect that makes it hard, but you have to, 1, definitely work smarter, 2, work harder, and pray and get lucky. That's all I could say.
Yeah. What are you guys doing now to address some of that stuff? Are you making changes in how you run the show in order to meet these things? How is it impacting you?
We used to be very reliant on cold email, right? So a lot of our leads would come from cold email and then directories. Google and Microsoft, 2 companies that like have a market cap over like $1 trillion, or a valuation rather, and they no longer accept essentially the same essentially cold email processes that we were used to, because we would send anywhere from like 10 to 20 to sometimes 30,000 a month. We did really, really well. That kind of turned the faucet off. Some other people are having decent luck with it. We've tried, and we're just like, all right, so we killed that. So we had to essentially build a new sales engine. But as I mentioned, we also relied on directories. Well, when Google did their update to compete with ChatGPT, their little AI update, that killed all top of the funnel traffic. When that killed all that top of the funnel traffic, there went all the directory traffic. And we were really well placed on directory. So we had to rethink our strategy and go into, instead of mass emailings, we're very targeted, essentially in the companies that we want to work with. And then 2, getting back into cold calling and building a system that is that way. and then also leveraging referrals from current clients, and then just really trying to access our partnership program because we give some pretty gnarly referral fees for work that comes to us. And so far, so good.
Oyova's basic platform, you guys do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It's not like you're working just within one industry or one niche. How does that work for you guys across IT and marketing and all these different things? How do you navigate that?
A huge bulk of our work used to come from working with agencies. We would be white labeled, they would be strategic partners. A fair amount still comes from that. And then when you're in that process, you get more siloed based on SEO. That's what our essentially our core offering that a lot of agencies would access. And then our development team for on the technology side of the house. So a ton in legal, home services, and there are a few other niches that we've accessed. I don't want to say them on the show because they're proving to be really good, and I don't want anybody to jump into them.
That's fair.
So we're not advertising that we're in any of those niches.
That's good.
But I would say when it comes to like platforms, we were really solid at WordPress. We've been doing it for a long time. And then, Shopify, we got really solid at that. As far as differentiators, I think it just comes down to, we have that expertise. You show the portfolio. Is there any niche specialty that you can really focus on there? Not really. That's where we would kind of do that spray and pray method. But I think anybody that's listening, find an industry that you're really good at. You have at least 2 clients in, and if you can tell a compelling story of what you did for them, I mean, you're off to the races.
Tell me about what AI has done for you guys in the last couple of years. How has it made life easier? What challenges has it, like new obstacles and challenges has it presented for you? Because I'm sure you're at the very leading edge of how all these tools are integrating into how we're doing business.
First off, it's helped me not say stupid things in emails because now I can, say like, hey, how's this coming off, right? In its most basic sense, I have that. As my friend Tracy would say, chatty. Just throw it in chatty. Throw it in chatty and make sure it sounds good. And I was like, all right, I like that. It makes it very human. But on the coding side, using Copilot and a lot of these other features in Claude, so it's helped the team really create some efficiencies there and do some code checks and speed up those processes. On the marketing side, from a content creation, everybody's using it on that side. Also from ad creation and creative and a lot of others. And just also strategy and ideation, and then really looking at an analytical approach and then bouncing things off and really crunching numbers. So wholesale, it's affected everything, right?
Pretty much, right.
But what I see, and if I had to look into my crystal ball or read the tea leaves, is I think a minimum of 20% of agencies are going to be out of business in probably 3 to 4 years because there's just entirely too many agencies and there's so much fragmentation. And I think a lot of the low-level stuff is going to be brought in-house. And then these companies, a lot of them are zombie companies anyway. They're going to be unsellable. So I think they're just ultimately going to fade away. And I hate that. That sucks to say that, but that's what's unfortunately around the corner. And this happens to industries. And AI's doing that now.
Yeah. It's all getting kind of consolidated.
The big tech layoffs, like if Google's laying off 100 people in their design department, right? And those designers aren't your cheap designers, man. Those are 200K plus employees, which frees up a lot of capital. But if they're doing those layoffs, then that's an indication that, okay, there's efficiencies and things that are created internally that are allowing that to happen. That's just one example, right? So you look at these big tech layoffs, you're like, okay, that's then going to trickle down from just a knowledge standpoint for companies like ours, where we're essentially reaping the same consequences.
Tell me about, what are you guys really excited about right now? Tell me about looking forward again now, and how do you see yourselves not, innovating your way through all of this crazy time?
I think what I'm excited about is that essentially the company that we've built. We have a really, really solid team. And to make sure that you are working with the right people and you're executing effectively, especially with the conditions that we're dealing with now, and able to make a profit in that, then that instills confidence. That instills certainty of being able to go and get the business you want. We also have a really gnarly strategy process that is proving to just be solid in our way to deliver there. So that's what I'm excited from a marketing front, because all these shakeups are happening. We're doing some things which I should have mentioned on the AI SEO or AI or AEO, GEO, whatever everybody's calling. Nobody's really settled on the initialism for that yet. So yeah, we're doing some really cool things and having some partnerships with some PR firms and whatnot to really create some some results that we're happy about.
Tell me about like some of the bullshit that you said you sometimes like to track in your own podcast. Like what are some of the things that you'd want to tell us about? That you,
Business is Bullshit podcast. I guess some of those are that most people don't need to buy a course for whatever it is. And if you're selling a course, good for you. Great. But most people listening, they don't need to buy a course or do any of that. Whatever they can find is going to be online, and they can stitch that stuff together or get a library card and actually open up one of those things they call books and figure out what's going on there. So I think that's one. I recommend anybody subscribe to the show. I mean, we're looking for new listeners. I'm trying to think now, what are some of the other things that we called out? Also networking. That was our latest episode, so it's probably a little bit of recency bias there. But the power of networking, if you do that right to connect with people, is wildly effective. And that's where we built a lot of our partnership programs, and just really looking at it in such a way that it is a marketing channel for you. It's your referral channel or however you want to bucket it. But that is something that, we really dug into and addressed. And my two co-hosts are exceptionally better at it than I am. And they literally lay out a program of exactly how to do it. So if you want to check out that episode, I highly recommend it. And there's literally a step-by-step process that my co-host James lays out. That's fantastic. And actually, when he laid it out, I was like, I got to start doing it.
That's great. Yeah. So that's the Business is Bullshit podcast. I'll make sure to link to it in our show notes.
Thank you, Mary.
And it seems like networking is interesting. It feels like in the age of AI and all the things that are happening right now, there's so much more noise on every front in all ways. And so getting to the signal in the noise is not just like it's important, and it's also like your market advantage. And it's the thing that really seems like it's going to matter moving forward. And some of those old fashioned human to human relationship based things that I feel like are sometimes getting lost in all the exciting innovation and like chasing of all the tech stuff. It's more and more coming down to the sort of bread and butter of building relationships, and being in the business of solving problems and things is like a big part of it. Is that kind of where like you see the networking conversation coming down a little bit more down to earth?
I think it just comes down to like human connections, right? People want to work with people they like, and then there's always going to be tribes where people are pulling together and whatnot. You really have to find yours. And it helps to be genuine, authentic, to stand for something. You're not going to get along with everybody. I think anybody that's tried to do that will one day figure out, myself included, that like, dude, there's just people that you're not going to just, it just doesn't work out that way. You got to be yourself, or you're going to be by yourself. So I think just being genuine and just finding the people that you like, doesn't mean you got to be, rude or mean or something. If that's your MO, like you got to figure that stuff out, but you got to be willing to put yourself out there. The kids say, keep calling it vulnerability. You got to be vulnerable. You got to get out there and be vulnerable. Right? All right. Well, essentially, I guess that translated is, all right, put yourself out there, make some connections, but also be willing to go the long haul. Don't be transactional. Don't just like, hey, what am I going to get here? Like, what's going to happen? Look at how you can help and serve somebody. And also there's some serendipity to it. Like, you're going to connect with people that it's going to just lead to something else that's potentially going to hopefully be something magical for you, right? And then you're also going to meet turds and frauds where you're like, man, what am I doing with my life? Like, why am I talking to this person? It's just natural, right? And someone, they got a mother, that loves them, and who knows what that circle is. You don't have to try too hard. Just keep going and just do what you can for as many as you can, without putting yourself in too bad of a spot. And it tends to work out in the end. And also, getting really strong at your communication skills is, one thing that I always appreciate, and granted, I'm a bit of a storyteller, is I love a good story. So if you can tell a story, especially about what it is that you do or who you do it for, and if you can inject humor, I think that's a skill that not enough people work at. And it's a really, really powerful skill in connecting with people, which of course leads to the point where we started this, is essentially network.
It's so refreshing to come back to those kinds of things, which is like what we've been telling stories around the campfire for, forever.
Totally.
And so let's just get back to that.
It's always the lens we're going to look at it through. And it's just, all right, how can we just keep going, keep pushing forward? We're going to have bad days, but you string enough good ones together, and then, your average is going to be happier than not.
This is some great advice you're giving us. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to share?
I think growth comes from pain. People forget that. We look to try to escape that. So if somebody's business isn't doing well right now or they're unhappy with what they do, they can take a look and just really understand, like, okay, is this a growing experience? Is this something that I need to learn from and something that's just painful and I will heal from? Or is it something that I need to just go and find something else because my heart's not in this and it's just a detestable activity that I call work, right? So I think, if I had to leave some parting thoughts, it would be that. But also, you can push yourself to be deeply uncomfortable. And if you can get comfortable and continually doing that, then you can do some amazing things. But there's a caveat to that. And that is, make sure you're actually doing something that is meaningful. Because if you're not, it's not going to be worth it.
Very well said. And to the point. Exactly.
No, it reminds me of, there's a poster, and I say this to myself when I find me spinning wheels, and it's not just because I'm Greek and it's a myth, but Sisyphus, cursed to push the stone up the hill for it to only fall back, and then this poster said, pretend Sisyphus
is happy,
and it's like, all right, I can, it'll help you just get, maybe a few more inches or whatever it is to get to your goal. And maybe that's all you need.
That's a great reframe of Sisyphus. All right, Jon, this has been so lovely. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today and give us some really great pointers and insights on how you see things. Thank you all listeners for tuning in. Make sure to check out Jon's podcast, Business is Bullshit. We'll link to it in the notes. And thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.